you, Ben. I think now that we've seen, obviously, what the opportunities are, what the consumers are doing, and I think, obviously, through Ben's talk, just a little bit about how consumers are thinking, right? How they searching, what are they looking for, how they comparing, and how a lot of these behaviors are driving kind of the purchasing decision that will affect sales at the end. I think the next section of the event of today, we're really going to look at how we could affect some of these changes, right? Hopefully by this point, all of you have kind of figured out, okay, how important is this opportunity? But then, what are kind of the real steps for us to really transform your organization, your group, to really think digitally and to be able to drive, that kind of transformation. Today, we're going to have a panel moderated by Tom Srivorakul, who's the CEO of aCommerce Thailand, along with some experts with real experiences in affecting these changes. Today, we're going to have Saowanee Wongsompipat, who's head of digital, L'Oreal, Greg Florkow, business development manager of NESCAFÉ, Dolce, and Tanutda Vacharaphol, VP of Ebusiness, King Power. I won't steal Tom's thunder, as he, I think, have a lot to talk about as to what kind of topic he'll be going through today. So please welcome our panel.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces today. I'm excited to be here. Of course, Paul and Ben have shared some great insights so far, and you guys can definitely look forward to a lot more, during the rest of the day. So the topic now gets a little bit more personal, right? As T had mentioned, right? How do we then start to, within your organizations, right? If you really want to drive some change or really want to get e-commerce ready, we thought that we'd invite some, people with experience, right? Who have actually done these within their organizations. And, the next topic, of course, it's how to hire for e-commerce. But it's also about navigating, internally and how to build a strong infrastructure overall, right? And so with that, let me welcome the trailblazers up here. Greg, of course, from NESCAFÉ Dolce Gusto, the business development manager. Joon, right? She's the head of digital for CPD, which is the consumer product division at L'Oreal Thailand. And then Joon, she's the VP of the Ebusiness at King Power. So here you have actually the perspective of both brands and a retailer, right? Also brands in very two different segments or categories as well. So before we get started, I'd just like to also, mic for you, there you go.
Thank you.
So for us here in this room, I think, when you look 15 years ago, right? Some of us, back then, were just starting digital marketing. Do you remember that for some of us in this room, like 15 years ago? Digital marketing, right? And back then, when you talked about digital marketing, it was about, what is this technology or what is this something new, right? And nobody really understood, right? And then when you'd go meet a client to talk about digital marketing, there was generally one person, and that person was like in a basement or in a room somewhere, right? Because no one knew what to really do yet with that person or with this concept of digital marketing. So you fast forward now 15 years, right? And what's interesting, right, is when I go meet clients today, no matter where they are in the region, right, I get that now, again, with e-commerce. So I go in, I want to talk about e-commerce, and it's, you generally will find one person, two persons, right? And they're still, in a corner somewhere, right? And they're really, they're striving and really, working hard to sort of, build this acumen internally because they believe, right, that this is the future, just like we all believe, just like, Paul and Ben showed, right? And it's all about speed, right? But, it's just interesting to see that again, right? That, e-commerce again, just like digital marketing 15 years ago. And, I remember hearing from somebody 15 years ago, said, oh yeah, this thing is just a fad. This whole digital marketing thing is just a fad. And I heard it again just a few weeks ago. Oh, this e-commerce thing, it's just a fad. It'll go away, right? I believe that all of us in this room really don't believe that, and that's why we're here today. So I think, just to get on pace again, I just want to kind of have each of our experts here talk a bit about, what they've done this year, some of the things, the interesting things that they've discovered in launching their e-commerce. I know it's very young, actually. It's just 1 or 2 years, right, that we worked together on some of these projects together. So, I think that it'll be interesting to see from their standpoint, and they'll share with you, right, the things that I think if you're just starting today that you'll face, right, or if you're already doing it, right, some great ideas that can come from this as well. So we'll start with Greg first. Okay, Greg, let me turn this over to you. There you go.
Thank you. So let's start straight away with this slide. I'm going to tell you today a little bit about, is it okay if I get up? Yes?
Please,
yes.
please walk around.
Just in case I make too much gesticulation, I don't hit anyone. Okay, so I'll tell you quickly how we got into e-commerce and what was the effort necessary to do it. What were the considerations internally that we needed to look at this? So we started very quickly with e-retailers selling our product for e-retailers. Fantastic, the sales are growing, we are loving it. Then we started adding a single one-page website selling our product. Result the same, sales are growing even higher. There is something in this e-commerce. We are loving it. Then we built a web shop and and actually the sales didn't react the way that we were expecting. There is a happy end to this story, so I will show you this later. But before we go into details, let's talk a little bit what is e-commerce, because everyone wants to get in e-commerce. And if you're looking from a perspective of a FMCG company, manufacturer, everyone wants to drive e-commerce. You're FMCG, you're a grocery, you sell grocery products. How do we drive e-commerce? Who should drive in the company e-commerce? Salespeople. Salespeople should be driving e-commerce. There's their job, they should be bringing sales. But there are also votes, no, it should be the marketing people. The marketing people should be driving e-commerce. No, 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 the communication and marketing people should be driving sales. Communication marketing people and marketing people, not the same, different. IT department, because this is website, the IT people should be driving e-commerce. No, still not good enough. Digital champion, the digital champion, he has digital in name, he should be driving e-commerce. And then e-commerce champion, that's finally we have solution, we're gonna have e-commerce. And I think the biggest problem for manufacturers is that when we look from our perspective, when we are a company selling products, there are actually a different, so we should not be talking about e-commerce because that makes the situation very confusing. We should be really talking about specific channels where we sell. All of them to happen to be selling through e-commerce. So it nicely breaks into two parts. So on those two first boxes, you see that these are actually retailers. So pure players, click and mortars, this is what fits into our current structure, into our sales department. These are retailers who will sell our products. So it would make sense to have salespeople to talk with them. So that's one important consideration, especially when you have a lot of new companies coming up and you not necessarily always have new headcounts in the sales coming up and so on. The other consideration for this is that actually, if you look, it took us 2 years before we stopped classifying pure players as mom and pop stores. So it took us 2 years before we actually identified that this is a separate channel. And the last consideration here, it is actually, brand.com. So this is a completely different animal. It's a store that you own on yourself. So who should be responsible? Now we can clarify the question. Within e-commerce, who should be responsible for other retailers? That's clear. Who should be responsible for building up your own web store presence? And the question remains exactly the same department in votes. The conclusion is that it really depends within the organization. So you need to have 4 factors to be able to put up online. And building up online store, if we're talking specifically about online store, sort of involves all the departments that we are having, because it's really within a classical FMCG structure, there is no specific department that would be doing this, unless you have a department in charge of retail stores, building up retail stores. So first of all, you need to have ability to act, which means management permission and time to do it. If you don't have time, you're not going to do it. Second point, you need to have money to afford it, to start, basically, to build up the website, but it doesn't finish only with that. You also need to have a budget that will allow you to maintain this presence. And that sometimes gets tricky, because this budget, it's okay to get a top-level permission to start a project and build a website, but then whether you're going to keep financing it really depends on the 4th factor, which is the product. Whether it makes for a specific product to be online, and whether this investment in your own channel will make a benefit for the product. So this is the things to consider. Once you already have your web store, you are basically having your independent store, and you need to consider how you are going to drive traffic to that store, because in this case, the retailers are not doing the job for you anymore. You have to take care about bringing your customers on your own. And in this case, there's a couple of points to consider. It's very different from the traditional advertising that we are used to do. The model when you take our advertising agency and you take media buying agency and you let them run this content, it doesn't work for online stores anymore. So you need to really look into whether you have capability for running a completely different type of advertising, but you also need to be able to measure it properly. So there are two elements. I will not go into detail of measurement, but this is actually the part which you should be measuring very closely and looking at all the details. We can go through some of those measures. So coming back to the happy end, does it make sense to go into e-commerce? With e-retailers, definitely, because it is growing. We've seen all the numbers and it's going up, up, and up. Whether it makes sense to build up your own store, it depends on a few factors. So it depends whether it will enhance your brand, whether it will bring benefits for your brand, whether it will allow you to bring a broader access to your products, because maybe some of the e-retailers don't want to list of your full range. If you have 15 machines, 25 flavors, not everyone is necessarily willing to take it. And of course, whether there is a benefit for consumers, whether you offer through your website something that would be better for consumers. And unfortunately, sometimes the most obvious answer for the benefit for consumers is the price cut, and it's not about that. It's not about cutting a price on your website, but offering something which really gives the value for consumer from the perspective of a brand. And the final point, especially for FMCG, you have to look whether it makes sense as a business. Because if you're selling product which is, let's say, 100 baht, it is very difficult to sell it on your own online because the delivery cost will be 150. So that's a part of the consideration. That would be it.
Wow, a lot to digest, but very relevant. Yeah, thank you, Greg, for sharing that. Actually, we've run some campaigns together, through some channels, and it was interesting to see that, over 20% of the sales, right, were generated, through through e-commerce. So that was, really, really good results, right, coming from that. So thanks, Greg, for sharing that. Joon, please, you're next.
Okay. True.
Yeah, it's sticky.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Actually, I would like to share the e-commerce in L'Oreal. Okay. First thing that we started e-commerce in December 2013. At that time, I remember very well that actually for L'Oreal, we have an intention to go e-commerce definitely because we know it's a trend. I think no doubt everyone who are working in the FMCG in any industry, by heart that e-commerce will be coming for sure. But the question at that time is, how are we going to start e-commerce? At that time, I'm lucky enough to meet Kun Tom, okay, and the team that he came in at the right time. I would say that he offered the logistics and everything that we can start right away. And why not? Then we discussed with management that Maybelline, at that time I was marketing director of Maybelline. Then Maybelline was the volunteer to be the first brand to launch e-commerce of L'Oreal Thailand. At that time, if you remember very well, Line just launched the Line Fresh Sale. Okay, it's the first time in Thailand that they launched e-commerce in Thailand with under the name of Line Fresh Sale. And Maybelline is the first brand who sell online with Line Fresh Sale. And at that time, to be honest, no one knows how to run e-commerce. Definitely, no one has knowledge. Then I consulted with Kun Tom. How should we do? Then with his expertise, he said that to make it live, to make it very powerful, you have to launch something very new that consumer couldn't find in offline store. And at that time, I would say that it's not the right moment because at that time, during December 2013, we have just only one product launch, which is lipstick, 12 shades. Inside my heart, what I was thinking, I thought that no, definitely not. Why? Because ask your girlfriends, ask your wife, whenever they are going to buy lipstick or makeup or color cosmetic, they always have to test swatch on their arms. That's definitely, and you're right that 12 shades. And at that time I said, oh no, Kun Tom, I don't think that's gonna work. But I have no choice because I listened to him and he said it must be it must be pre-sale คุณจุ๋ม it must be pre-sale and then I try okay then I try you know what happened 500 pieces was sold out in just 1 hour which was amazing right you know what I have learned what I learned is that something probably consumer has changed we are in the world of offline for many years and we register the old word that we have learned in the past but now we are in the digital age and also e-commerce has changed so I think that's very new information that I adopted at that time that what I thought was totally wrong so that's why at that time I was realized that how important and powerful of e-commerce in Thailand happened in that time and after that we having the shop side of Maybelline afterwards and the first month was doing very well I remember very well that we can sell like up to 100,000 baht a month at that time conversion rate is very high 2 or 3% a month and EDM open rate is very high as well like 20 to 30% which Kun Tom confirmed at that time that is very high Kun Chum for the EDM open rate right so if you ask me what is the biggest challenge at that time I would say the first one would be knowledge no one know how to run e-commerce imagine L'Oreal we don't know how to run e-commerce it's super new in L'Oreal especially in Thailand no one knows but I think the thing that I got at that time is that then we try so I think that's the first moment that I think that we should try the second thing that was the big challenge at that time is about the resources because e-commerce is very new how much of the sale that you are going to sell คุณจุ๋มyou are asking for the head count something like that and blah 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 I couldn't win the conversation with my management definitely because I don't have the data to convince them how much the sale that we can achieve at the end of the year how can we give me the head count definitely not and what we fix the problem at that time is we try to convince our team to convince them that e-commerce is coming. It will come for sure. Just believe in it. And then we go together as a team. And luckily at that time, I got very good team that come with me. And then we make it happen. And this is the sell out, okay, of CPD, okay, in last year. So you see very dramatically increase here. I will tell you the secret why. I would say that it's coming with the learning, I would say. And at this time, we partner with the biggest retailer, right? And then we partner with them as the one team. Then we work together, we talk every day, we discuss what the promotion should be, and everything we work as a one team together with the e-commerce as well. And it's pay off, I would say. So that's why right now I would say that L'Oreal, we get some information and we learn, we know how to run e-commerce in a way right now. So I believe that this year would be an amazing year of us as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the key learning that I would like to share with you all today, the first thing would be choose the right partner. Okay, so partner mean, I think the first thing is about who are going to run our logistics, who are going to run our shop site, who are going to run everything for us behind us. The second thing would be which e-tailer or retailer that you would like to focus on. You cannot scatter because there are so many, e-tailer or e-retailer or even your shop site that will be coming for sure. But you have to focus and you have to think about the scale as well. The second thing would be fixed fundamental. Okay, I think when we talk about e-commerce, the key point would be holistic user experiences. So UX, UI will be very important thing. Imagine yourself and you get into the e-commerce and then you think that, the picture looks very, bad. Then you will not buy the product for sure. The image on the screen is your e-merchandising. So it's about your e-wall unit in my word of the cosmetic. So it's the where the consumer see your product, it's your shelf. Then beautify it. So I call this thing like fix fundamental first. The third thing would be test and learn. I think this one I experienced by myself, as I mentioned to you earlier, that I experienced with the 12 shades of lipstick before. I think it couldn't be applied to other products. So you have to test and keep learning it by yourself. The fourth thing would be data analysis. We know by heart that when we talk about digital or e-commerce, big data would be the one word that will come up to your mind, and it is. But the key question is how you can simplify it, how you can make it useful with you and your team. So in the world, you have a lot of big data, definitely, but you have to know how to simplify it, okay? And Kun Tom asked me, Kun Joon, please explain how to manage channel conflict. I would say right now I haven't observed any channel conflict at the moment. I believe right now e-commerce in Thailand is just in the developing stage. So that's why it's not in that stage yet. That I haven't observed the offline-online cannibalization yet, I would say. One day it would come, but not now. And I am not so sure how long it will take, but not now. I haven't seen it yet. Okay, and if it happens, or it hasn't happened yet, what would be the thing that we could avoid that kind of thing? I think pre-sales would be one thing that we could consider. Different assortments, particularly on the cosmetic world. The third thing would be the exclusive set, okay? Because whenever we do the research, consumers keep saying that they are gonna buy online if you offer something exclusively for me. Something that's very difficult to find in the offline store. Makes sense, right? Premium work very well. It's amazing, you know. I myself don't believe in give purchase before. But the data proven that give purchase works very well with e-commerce as well. Sampling and loyalty program. So these could be the tips that you could, differentiate the online channel from the offline channel or even other online channel. Okay, I think that's all.
Kun Joon, thank you so much. I still remember that meeting at L'Oreal where she raised her hand and volunteered to go first as a brand, and that was a very big leap of faith, right? And a testament today that her passion for e-commerce, right? Obviously at L'Oreal, you saw the chart, very big year for them in 2015, so congratulations, Cap. Yeah. So next, we have Kun Joon, who will give a perspective from a retailer. So King Power, I'm sure we all know that brand. I buy a lot of wine from you at the on my way in and out of the country. So go ahead, Kun Joon.
Okay. So in case if you don't know what is King Power is one of the I think only one retail business in Thailand. Yes. So what are we doing now? We do all of the duty-free product, which is available at the airport. Okay. So why is King Power moved to do online? So I put some data here from the ETDA, which is like the market growth in 2015 for e-commerce in Thailand, which is like 3.6%, and with the 2.1 trillion Thai baht. And look at the other side from the B2C e-commerce over the world. So USA is, they are a mature market, China, and then look at Thailand, just only 11.7 US billion. So then now again, we are the core business of the travel retail. So we look for online e-commerce is another channel to get traveler for convenient to shop. They can pick up all of the product at the airport. So we have the pickup counter. So at Saowanee and Donmu. And we might extend more later on at other airport. This is the first thing that why King Power would like to do e-commerce. The second thing, because our chairman, he states that he would like to put all of the SME product or OTOPS product out to the world. So we work with the government, we work with the Thai SME, the small. So we have our own house brand. So you could see like the food package at the King Power Rangnam offline. You will see we have our own food product, our own house brand. And another thing we would like to expand is LCFC. Where is LCFC? It's Leicester City. It's another business of the King Power. So we moved them from offline store to online store in Thailand. And if you ask me the biggest challenge, King Power, which is I think similar to L'Oreal as well, first of all is know-how, resources. So move offline to online. I used to work for offline, purely offline. I used to work for purely online, and now I hybrid. I work for, now I move offline to online, which is a more difficult, I would say. People tend to settle with offline business, and they are doing magnificent job very well. So we have to educate them what is online now, why is it so important, why people want to do online at this stage and currently, and it's going big in the future. So that's the first thing. Apart from know-how, is resources, because e-commerce is recently just in the market for a couple of years. Resources like people, it's very hard to find this day. So we might need to train them, we might need to get them, steal them somewhere. No, I'm joking.
There's a very small pool of people, yes.
Yes, and then to get them and then ask them to help us to build the business. And this is two things that e-commerce, we jump into the e-commerce. So what do? We start the e-commerce last year in 2015, the beginning last year. So the first thing we do, we refine or we determine our business model. What is our business model? Of course, B2C this day. And one day we might expand to C2C or whatsoever, etc. Once we have the maturity of growth. And then after that, we just simplify the business goal, what we want to achieve. Easier, you can do just the number. So when you set as the number, you can convert back what resources you need, what everything you need, convert back to all of the support, and then vision and strategy. And then after we finalize determine this, what we do the first thing, we build a team. So we structure all of the team. So if you ask me how would I settle or build a team for King Power, with a normal e-commerce business, apart from the brand, because we offer the platform, we have our platform. So we put up like the commercial team, which is consider of the merchandising, and then we build the marketing team. Apart from marketing team, we have the web management team, and then the last one, which is like really important, is the logistics operation team. Secondly, another thing that we prep for King Power is web perspective, which is the platform. The platform it's fundamental because it's the basic, which is all of the e-commerce platform. You need a strong one. Be able to develop in the future to get the business needs for now and in the future, and including infrastructure. Okay, I don't want to go into detail. There will be long thing. Okay, and the third thing, like I said, commercial and marketing. Apart from marketing, commercial is really important. What is commercial? We're talking about product. If we have tons of traffic come to the site and then we don't have things to offer them, they leave. So product selection is very important. And again, there are a lot of e-commerce doing retail with the B2C, C2C, so we need to differentiate ourselves. That's why like the SME and also exclusive, that will be one of our selections, similar to like L'Oreal. And also marketing, luckily I've got aCommerce to do the marketing for me now, okay? So they help us. You need someone to know about digital marketing. So in the beginning, at the early stage, it might not need for you to build an in-house team. It's useless. So you trust like the third party or the digital marketing who can provide you this kind of support, and you work with them. And it's easier for the early stage for you. And then once you're your business is mature or developed, you can just build in-house later on. And the last one is, like I said, it's operation. So when the orders come, you get blamed from the customer if you cannot deliver it in time, on time, or whatever you promised to them. So another important or crucial function is the operation. Okay. Next, that's what I was asked to say. Hiring the talent. Like I said, know-how is very important. So if now we do the recruiting, so what kind of people we would like to recruit? We would like to recruit people with direct experience, which is very rare for e-commerce. But then some of the function like operation and logistics, I'm hiring from some people that I used to work with, and then they know they have the know-how of running the warehouse, of running the delivery and everything. So, and also these people in every function, they need to know the importance of e-commerce, the dynamic and everything, how will it impact the market, and how will it be in the future. And also other quality that you might want to look for is the systematically assess and thinking, analytic skill. So these kind of people is suited for the startup business. So they know how they know how things run, they know what is the problem, they can fix the problem, and then they are very good on the startup business. And open-minded, can do attitude, because startup for first couple of years is super struggle, and with the e-commerce market it's very aggressive, so you might need the people have a can-do attitude. Okay, I think this is it for King Power. Thank you.
Joon, thank you for sharing that. And just to recap, I think that all three that you've heard, right, various stages, similar challenges though, as you can tell, right? Everyone here as well, no matter what stage of e-commerce you're in, you'll have, you would have probably seen some of this yourselves or about to see some of this. So I think to get even more personal, I have two questions to ask our esteemed guests here. I had three, but I think we answered one of them already, and for the sake of time, so we'll just ask two very relevant ones. Starting with Greg first, and then we'll go down the line. What was the most difficult challenge to overcome? I know there's a lot of challenges, but generally, like, just on the top of your mind, the things that keep you up at night, right? What is the most difficult challenge?
There's many of them.
Okay.
Hello? So the most difficult challenge, sell more machines.
Sales.
But sell more machines, but I think after today, another most difficult challenge would be how to convince Ben King to search for Nescafé Dolce Gusto instead of Nespresso. So that's one more challenge to my list. I think if we look at the e-commerce from growing our sales, there will be basically two things. One thing we discussed a little bit, which is the channel conflict, how we make sure that we do not cannibalize our in-store sales with what we do offline. And I really like what Paul was showing before, that actually online can also drive some sales into the retail. So I think there's good reason for this. But I think the second point, which I think is extremely important in terms of online web stores, when you're driving your own web stores, how to optimize your advertising and how to put the right advertising and how to have basically most efficient bang for your buck in this case. So. And it's a very different for us. It was a big learning curve. It was similar, like Kunjum and Kunjun were mentioning. It's a completely different level of skill set that you don't normally have, and pretty much whatever changes with the advertising with Google and with other providers, it changes on a monthly basis. So you really need to stay on top of it. So from my perspective, preferably the best solution would be, if you're running a web store, to have it in-house, to have it inside of your store. But it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of investment. Plus, you also need to maintain that. You need to make sure that they are going to be educated and practicing this on. everyday basis and so on. So this part of getting traffic, this is a thing that you cannot take for granted. If you build your store offline, if you have a location, then cost of your traffic is basically the rent, and people will come by itself. But within the digital environment, when you put up the store, this thing cannot be taken for granted. So that's a little bit in terms of a return on investment that we put, and in terms of getting the traffic. So that would be probably the biggest thing in terms of how to get people for our own initiatives.
Okay, so marketing in general, and yeah, Ben, I think heard you say that too. So thank you for sharing that. Joon, please, same question.
The most difficult challenge, in my point of view, is about people. I think it's very difficult because it's not everyone who understands e-commerce. Even me, myself, I took time to understand e-commerce and imagine your employees, your colleagues, how many people who understand how to run e-commerce. It's very challenging. I took many hours to convince my boss to get e-com manager. Okay, and not just only me, I have to convince my commercial director to support me as well. So I think it's not everyone. So it's your job, it's my job, who lead the project of e-commerce, your job to educate them as well. Not just about every function. I think starting from marketing, because they have so many operations. So how to make them come in, blend in, and build the e-commerce together, because e-commerce is one of channels as well. But today, they might not think in that way. It's your job to convince them, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, so getting the mindset internally, right? Yeah, of course. Joon, please, same question.
For the challenge, yeah, there will be similar thing like I mentioned earlier, because we are offline and then educating is very important. So how do you educate them? You have to educate from top to the bottom. And again, back, vice versa, it's bottom up. So first, like all of the top management team, they have to be educated how important and how we can blend every function. Because in King Power, we have the commercial group, the merchandising group, who sourcing all of the travel retail. Now they have to see e-commerce as another store, which is online, on the cloud. Okay, so they have to treat us another thing, and then we have to educate the bottom section people that e-commerce is new things. You don't need to stand in at the shop to sell this to the people. So we have different way to pull the people, the traffic to the site, and then we educate them how the customer, how with this kind of product need to be sold instead of selling at the store, which is a different thing. So this is one of the challenge. Another challenge is, apart from the product, is also the platform, because we're not brand. We are offering we are one of the marketplace, which is we own our own platform. So it is very important in terms of the user experience, user interface, and all of the commerce engine at the back. And also this kind of thing, if you have everything in fundamental, basic, it should be good to go for the e-commerce. Yeah.
So as a retailer, definitely infrastructure, as one of the main
Yes.
challenges. So last question for everybody here. If you had to start this all over again, what would you do differently?
I would say, I think mic number 2 is
No batteries.
gone. What I would say, it's not about doing things differently in the same. Of course, there's things that we should do differently. I would say we should do everything faster. When I look now at every single piece that it took so much time. Sometimes it's incredible how much time it took. If you look backwards, it would be, of course, significantly faster. You have the hindsight, and it's like, oh, I should do this and this and this. I think probably my main message would be that with all those digital things, you should spend less time on the meetings and discussion and trying to figure out what is the best way to do it. Is get the best alternative that you have at the moment and go for it, do it, test it, and see how it works out. I think this is the direction, because you can see speed is the key, and getting there faster, that would be the thing. So probably shorten some of the different stages that we had. So that would be the main direction.
Because I remember some of those earlier meetings that we had as well, yeah. And it was, I could see you trying to bring everything together, right? But you're right, looking back, yeah, just testing, and getting up to speed. So thank you. Thanks for sharing.
You almost gave up hope, saying like, this Nestle, I'm never going to do e-commerce.
Well, thank God we're still there. So.
Okay, for me, apart from speed, which I totally agree, I would say focus, and focus. So if I could come back to the past, what I would say that I would focus. Imagine I'm running 1,000 SKU in e-commerce. Can you imagine? If I focus everything, it will not work. So right now I have learned already that we could identify what is the high conversion rate. We classify like category A, B, C to the product, and then we focus. When we do promotion, when we do give a purchase and anything, then we have some focus that we could focus on. So that could be my things that I would return back to do.
Yeah, so it seems that, using data and analysis, right, A/B testing, right, and that's really the benefits of e-commerce is you can do so much testing, right? I think you guys are seeing a lot of amazing data for the first time, too, right? So fantastic. And Joon?
For me, in terms of King Power, because it's where we are in very early stage.
1 year, yes, only, barely.
It's super young. Okay, so there are tons of things. When you're running e-commerce, there are tons of functions need to be done, but then it doesn't have to be done at the same time. So my suggestion, you need to put the priority of what you need to do in each function. So I don't need to put everything everything at the same time for marketing and the product, and even the logistics and web. So we just prioritize everything what needs to be done. So you can put everything in phase 1, 1.1, 1.2, or phase 2, or so you have a milestone to achieve one by one, and then by the timeline, maybe slightly of agile, you might delay something, but when you delay something, you need to know the chain effect to other things that you want to achieve. Yeah, that's it in terms of media.
Yeah, so I think that a phased approach, we see many now brands and retailers now considering that, right, as part of their e-commerce rollout. So with that, we're bringing it to a close, and sincerely, just thank you, all three of you, so much, right? It's been a pleasure actually just working with you the past few years, and just 1 year with you, obviously, right? But I think, just a great example of achievement, and, just passion, perseverance, and just, believing in speed, right? And just want to get things done. And really look forward to all the upcoming years again together as well, right? As we grow this together. So thank you so much again for your time today.
Thank you.